Well, tell me who you got at 21 on your mock. Where are you going right now?
Well, I was listening to something today, and they were saying it was the Sean Belegian podcast, and he was saying that Hassan Reddick is getting so much love that there's just not a good feeling he'd even be there at 21 now. I think he's still the guy I had in my mock there. My other guy, Obi Menafalu, is moving up the ranks. He's 6'4". He plays safety. He's just a freak athlete. He's moving up. You almost have to take him at 21 or not take him. So those are kind of my top two. And then in my simulations, I've been having Derek Barnett fall all the way to 21. I'd probably take him over Taco, even though I would love to have a guy named Taco on our team. So those are my top targets right there. The top four would be Reddick first, I guess, Obi second, Derek Barnett, and then Taco.
Yeah, your boy Derry loves Hassan Reddick, man. He talks about him every day.
Right. I mean, he's a Quinn type guy because he's played 4 positions and just kind of a really good character guy that's an athlete. I mean, that fits everything Bob Quinn wants. Yeah. And it's a huge position of need.
Well, I saw I think Sports Illustrated, that Chris Burke dude put out one of his mocks today, and he had Zach Cunningham.
Yeah, see, I've been hearing Cunningham falling in the second round. You know, if you get him in the second, people love it, but not in the lower first. And I don't know. He's one of the few guys I watched some stuff on, and I didn't love him. I mean, not terrible,
well,
but.
If I'm being honest, I feel the exact same way. Like, I watch a lot of Michigan football, or listen to a lot of Michigan football, and I'm not really that sold on Taco, man. Like, if I'm watching games, the one guy that I saw flash more than Taco was Wormley. I never felt like Taco was always putting pressure from the edge on. Like, he'd have a great game here or there, but I never felt like he was consistent. Like, I just hope he's not one of those guys that like isn't motoring all game long. Like he's like, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like Wormley was more kind of that. He's gonna be like a later round pick, but I just felt like if those two together on the field, I always felt like Wormley stood out to me more than Taco did as far as like when you needed a big play or somebody who was playing all the time. I wouldn't be. I don't know. I don't think I'd be that happy with Taco at 21.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that take. I've heard the same thing from a couple people who said they love his measurables, but as far as his play or his how ready he is to dominate, you know, they're not sold. So I hear you there. I guess the reason I'm saying I like him is I like the size a lot. I like that there's something in me, Hughes, that thinks Bob Quinn is going to use the Michigan program as a pipeline. I think we talked about that before, but I think he has connected on the DL with Harbaugh and said, hey, you've got a great program going. We'd love to bring some of your guys in as Lions, you know. And he gets the inside, because I think that probably happened with Glasgow. I bet you Harbaugh was like, hey, this guy is a beast. He's a dog. I know he's had trouble in the past, but he'll be a good player for you as far as character and whatnot. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple Michigan players come through this draft. So I think there's that. And I don't know, just size and position of need is, I guess, why I like him the best. But
yeah, there seems to be a lot of defensive end or pass rushers in this draft, but I just don't I don't know much about. Another guy I keep hearing about is that Harris guy from Missouri. I don't know much about him. I don't know much about the guy from UCLA. There seems to be a lot of those guys that I just don't know a lot about. But like I feel like with defensive end, like you need to make sure that it's like pass rush is like their thing, because not all defensive ends can rush the passer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing we should think about too, Hughes, is just pulling up some tape on one of these. Cause that's one thing I don't do a ton of. I listen to more experts talk than actually check these guys out. But if we just pulled some guys up one time and actually watched 10 minutes of each guy to get a feel for what they do. Charles Harris, I'll tell you real quick, they say he's got an amazing first step and they love his hustle, but he's more of a 3-4 type guy is kind of what I heard. But people keep mocking him to the Lions, I think, just because of his ability to get to the quarterback. So I really don't love him, even though he seems to be a pretty good player. And then who was your other guy that you mentioned? The guy from UCLA.
Yeah, what is it? Jakar McKinley or something like that?
Yeah. I think Daniel Jeremiah had him going to the Lions, which I like Jeremiah, but as far as that player goes, I don't see it at 21. I couldn't break him down for it. I haven't really heard or seen much of him, but I think he had an injury or something as part of it too. But those are the top guys, but it's just such a valuable position, especially to take pressure off Ziggy. You almost need another guy that defenses have to account for. That's probably why it's at the top of the list more so than anything.
Yeah, well, the way that I'm seeing it play out is like as we get closer to the draft, I feel like there's going to be some picks to the top that are unexpected, and I think if that happens, it's mostly going to be like for a quarterback or like a running back. So what I'm hoping is going to happen is like Delvin and Fournette like go early, and then someone's going to want to be trying to move up to be in range for McCaffrey, and I feel like that would be a perfect opportunity for the Lions to move down.
Yeah, or remember the draft where we got Fairley, like you want to root for the teams in front of us to get what we don't need. So quarterback, running back, even have some of those receivers come off the board is good for us. Even the tight ends, like we love Howard and Njoku to go before us. That way, not only so we don't take them, but so they're just more skill guys that are off the list.
Yeah,
the defenders down.
More defensive guys. Yeah.
But that always happens, is the guys that you thought weren't going to be there fall into the second round or something. So, I'm not worried about getting a good player at 21. I mean, obviously a trade down is our favorite move of all time. I mean, that would be great no matter what we get back for it. There's just so many good players in this draft, but there'll be people that push down.
Yeah, the other thing I could see happening too is because we talked about this earlier, it's not a very strong offensive tackle draft. So I could see like one or two guys who probably shouldn't go in the first round go in the first round, and like teams panicking because they need offensive linemen and trying to move up to get a guy, and because they don't think he's going to make it down to their spot. Like if Ramczyk or Cam Robinson or whoever these guys are like go early, I can see somebody trying to trade up to get like Garrett Bowles in that spot.
Yeah, exactly, man. Those are good things to think about and consider and keep an eye on come draft day. I mean, it's hard to predict in advance, but like in those draft sims, like sometimes guys fall down and it totally changes. Or I've been doing them recently where I don't make any trades, and that's always different too. When you just set it your pick, it really changes who you get in the drafts. Rather than making some big deals, which usually don't happen in the real NFL. So pretty much anything could happen, but I'm finding good players rounds 1 through 4 and 5 every time.
Yeah.
So
are you thinking probably defense, or do you think they need to address anything in offense in the second round?
You're gonna maybe hate this answer, but I think it's not only best player available, but it's let the board fall. I really couldn't. I wouldn't want to go in thinking one or the other. It would just depend on who was there. I think best case scenario would be have a guy, a top pass rusher, like faulty in round 1 that you didn't expect to be there, or Reuben Foster, let's say for some reason he fell way down. Snag him up, there's your defensive playmaker, and then in round 2, come back and either get what you didn't get, either corner, safety, linebacker, or defensive end, and walk away with 2 impact-type guys. But, I mean, the only offensive guys I can see are who was it? I mean, there's really not much I'd wanna see in the first and second round. I'm trying to even justify somebody, like if they go with tight end, even if it was an O.J. Howard, like I just think you can't do it, and there's really no receivers that jump off the page for me. And other than that, I don't. Well, running back, I guess in the second round, let's say if there was some great running back that I just didn't expect to be there, I mean, I would consider it, but I probably would pass.
That's the thing about, and that's why I think this draft is huge for us, because it just seems like with running back, after the top 3 guys, like I feel like all those guys are in the middle together, so you wouldn't necessarily have to waste a second round pick, you can get a guy at fourth or fifth or third that's probably equivalent to, somebody who got the second. Same with receivers. I feel like it's a thin receiver draft minus like the first 4 or 5 guys, and then after that, it's just like, because honestly, I mean, I would like the Lions to add a younger wide receiver, like as a third down, or not third down, but your third wide receiver, or even a fourth guy, because I just like that position after the top 2 guys. Like you're just hoping that T.J. Jones finally does something, but you can't guarantee that she does. And at that point, you're hoping that maybe Quan will re-sign, because other than that, you really don't have much there.
Yeah, man. I'm with you there. I'm kind of done with T.J. Jones. I mean, if he's my 4th or 5th and ever makes a few plays, good for him. But I'm done with him. I think there's a kid that I've been getting in like the 5th or later, and KD Cannon out of Baylor. He's supposed to be like a deep threat, take the top off the defense kind of guy. And that's what I'd love to see, is that type of crazy speed, deep player that we just get later, and either he pans out or he doesn't, rather than use a top resource on a guy.
Yeah.
So I feel like we could always go out and get a 3rd, 4th receiver in some form or fashion.
Well, they did sign that dude from State, who's been in the league for a few years, like the punt returner guy. Keyshawn Martin, I think is his name.
Yeah, I mean, he's never done anything, but, I mean, I'd rather roll the dice on guys like that or guys late in the draft than take a top guy and then he ends up not really making a big impact. I mean, we got to get Marvin to step up. You got to get Ebron to step up. We already have players there. They just have to play better.
Yeah, and because of those reasons, like, I don't feel like besides receiver and running back, I mean, what really else do you need to draft? I mean, I know tight ends, Sam, but I just don't see them taking a tight end that early. But besides that, like, you don't really need to draft offensive line in the second round. So to me, it just screams like best defensive player available in round 1, and same thing in round 2, because you have so many holes and lack of depth on defense compared to the offensive line, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because before T.J. Jones, then I would have said, okay, this second round we need to take Dan Feeney or one of those guys who's available to play right guard, because we can't count on Joe Dahl or Lincoln to be the starting guy. I'd rather have a competition for it. But since they signed T.J. Lang, I don't really necessarily think you need to even draft an offensive line until maybe late, because you have pretty good depth there already.
Yeah, no, I don't think you'll see him really dress the O-line at all. It's nice to have that off the radar type of thing. I mean, getting a couple young D linemen that, even if they're not studs now, could develop into starters would be important. So, like you said, I think I've got Wormley in the second round before. He would be something to consider. Or some of these 3rd and 4th round smaller school guys at defensive tackle would be nice. But I'm with you, man. Load up on the defense. The only thing is, in the 3rd round, if a guy like my guy Deontay Foreman from Texas is still there, I mean, he's the kind of pounder that we need. That at third round, I mean, it's still expensive, but I wouldn't mind spending that to be able to get those 3rd and shorts, to be able to pound it in when we're on the 5-yard line, and then still let Amir and Theo do what they do. But this kid, like I said, I think his pro day ran 4.4, 4.5. He's 240 pounds. He went to Texas. I mean, he's got the pedigree. To me, that's somebody you need to keep your eye on.
Yeah, but the only other thing that go ahead.
I was going to say, if you can't get him, I wouldn't mind getting LeGarrette Blount for a couple of years. Same type of guy. Just, hey, he fills that role. He's getting older, but, hey, plug him in. We need that kind of player, because we have not been able to move, the football when it comes down to just pushing people around. Now we got the old line to do it. Get one of those big backs to complement our little guys.
Yeah.